You're watching the Fantasy Rankings Report only on Fantasy Now Plus. Hey, my name is Topher Kurt. You can call me Topher though. And welcome to the Fantasy Rankings Report. Where we're going to compare running back and wide receiver rankings from 8 reputable fantasy football companies. When I say we, who do I mean? I mean myself and my co-host, Michael Flores. Hi, Michael. How are you today?
Fantastic. How you doing today, Topher?
That's good. I'm doing well. Went back to school for the first day today. I'm a teacher, and so sat through a lot of meetings. Kids come next Wednesday, so next show I will be fresh off the first day of school, so I'll be extremely tired.
That is going to be amazing. I'd love to see the difference between today and then next week.
You wait until you get to like November, December, and then you'll see me off camera be like crying. It'll be awesome. It'll be a great thing. This show has come about from something that I started doing with the website goingfor2.com last year, where I decided why recreate the wheel. Instead, study what other people are doing. Oh, I need to change the format. No, is the format right? Am I on drugs? There we go. I knew I was missing something. Okay, so I went and was looking at various analysts and seeing some outrageous differences between rankings. Some people I know, like Hollywood Brown last year, at one point had a 36 spot difference. So somebody had them in the high 20s, somebody had them in the low 50s. Like, how can you get a consensus from that? So I am specializing in the running backs, and Michael is specializing. Wide receiver. Why did I say
Reverse?
Yeah, reverse. I'm specializing in the wide receiver. Michael is our running back guy. This show is brought to you by Fantasy Now Plus and the Fins Talk Sports Network. And you should subscribe to all of the above in the links in the description. We're going to start off every show with a rankings question. So, in this segment, Topher or Michael will ask each other a question pertaining to rankings in any way, shape, or form. We can stick to our area of expertise with it. We can color outside the lines, talk about quarterbacks, tight ends, anything like that. So today, I want to talk about our last year's rookie wide receivers. Last year at this time, I want you to just kind of think about where would the general consensus be on a lot of these rookie wide receivers. Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman, Brian Thomas Jr., and Xavier Worthy.
Honestly, I think you have them in the order that you just listed them as. Probably they ideally had them as their consensus rankings. I know everybody was high on Marvin Harrison last year. Everybody was just super excited. I'm going to say, how high did they put him? I think in that order that you had them was going to be the order that they will show up. But I think Marvin Harrison might have been a top, 7, 8 wide receiver that
You're
they
close.
had going into it.
Wide receiver 9. Literally at this date last year, he was wide receiver 9 between 10 sources that I was using. Like, good job.
And he probably finished, really low. But I'm okay with that because I traded pick 101 last year, and I was able to get Jaden Daniels, Travis Hunter, and Pittman out of it, and they took Marvin Harrison, and dude, I'll take that every year.
Absolutely. Where do you want to say people like, let's say, Ladd McConkey or Brian Thomas Jr., who had breakout seasons last year? Where do you think, give me a number, where would they be wide receiver blank?
So McConkey, I don't remember the consensus being very high on him last year. I'm going to go probably closer to, 16, 17, maybe just at 20. And then for Brian Thomas Jr., Man, he really looked good last year. Um, I'd probably go closer to 12 to 15.
Okay. This is why I brought this up. This is gonna blow your mind. Marvin Harrison, wide receiver 9 for wide receiver overall rankings right at this time last year. Malik Neighbors, 24.
Oh, wow. That's higher than I thought, but
Oh,
okay.
oh, you
Or
wait.
lower than I thought.
Lower. Oh, you wait. Roma Dunze, 42. Lad McConkey, 44. Keon Coleman, 46. BTJ, 47. And Xavier Worthy, 49.
I did have a feeling Worthy was going to be low, but I was excited for him. I think I got him in 2, maybe 3 leagues actually last year, and I'm holding on to him. I'm hoping that something happens with it.
Yeah. So Neighbors, BTJ, and Lad McConkey all finished within the top 12 last year. And 2 of them were within the wide receiver 40, mid 40s range. Like that's how you come away looking at rankings and going, okay, which of these guys do I like that's going to run away with it? Speaking of that, what do you think the current rookie wide receivers, current expert consensus rankings are?
All right. So Tet's got to be. I'm gonna try to use last year's stuff on them with how they based last year. I'm gonna go. Tet's probably about 22. Who else we got? We got Hunter. Right around there, probably maybe 25-ish.
Okay.
Who do we got next? Mika's probably going. I'm gonna probably go a little higher than that, probably in the mid 30s, maybe 34, 35. Golden can finish as low in the rankings as I hope. I'd be perfectly fine with that, but he's probably in the closer in the 40s.
That is really rude if you're looking at my background here.
Oh, as a Bears fan, Burden's going to be a lot higher, so I'm okay with that. He's probably like wide receiver 1 at this point. I'm saying so.
I've got to tell you guys, this is news to me that I got paired to work with a Bears fan.
It was intentional.
Justin, you and I are going to talk. So Burden and Harris, you know,
I don't know if they're really high on Burden, especially with that injury. I wouldn't be surprised if they put him at like 60-ish. I'm going to go with 60, and then Harris, I don't know, somewhere between 55 and 60 maybe as well.
Okay, so those lower 2 you're really good on. Burden is 55, Harris is 56. Tet McMillan, he does not like Tet. Ted Toria.
My bad.
Yeah. No, it's okay. He's not watching this.
Yet.
Yet. He's at wide receiver 31 in expert rankings. Travis Hunter, 34. Egbuka, 49. Golden, 50. These rookie wide receivers, if you see what happened last year, every receiver from last year, we had 7 of them that we listed. 5 out of the 7 finished at least 17 spots above their wide receiver. Some of them literally by 30. So these weekly reports, they matter. And it also shows you that experts go too low on rookie wide receivers, even though we've seen time and time again with all that fun stuff. Before we dive into kind of the 2 meaty sections of our show, I do want to show the audience here real quick what I think it only shows one person on it. I'm sorry, Michael, I'm kicking you visually off for a second. So
that's what everybody wants.
So let's see, screen share. I want to show this right here. Okay. So this right here is what we are using. So we go through, we are using 8 fantasy websites, CBS, Fantasy Footballers, Fantasy Now Plus, our website, Fantasy Pros, Going for Two, Rotoballer, NFL, and Yahoo. We go through, we put all their rankings in. Then we have what their average is, the mode, just for funsies, the high-low. So Jamar Chase has a very small high-low right here because everybody's ranking him 1 and 2. And that range means he's only got a variable of 1. But if you go down, even just within this wide receiver 1, T. Higgins has a much larger range. Some people are saying he's a fringe wide receiver 1. Some people are saying he's middling wide receiver 2. As you go further down, you're going to see bigger numbers. And that's what we're going to be exploring. We're going to be exploring what are some of the safer players like Jamar Chase. And we're going to look at some of these these bigger numbers as well with somebody like Jerome Ford. What the heck do you do with Jerome Ford?
Yeah, 27 is huge.
Yes. So I'm taking that away. I'm bringing us back here, and I'm figuring out this formatting stuff. Boom. Stop sharing. Okay. So, Michael, lead us on to our next section.
Yeah, absolutely. So, where do you want to go with steady and safe? You want to make sure you got the guy that's going to perform every week to the best of his ability, and you want to make sure that you're going to get your average points that you're expecting. So right off the bat, first, I'm going with a guy that just signed a new extension, 3 years, $33 million extension in Kyron Williams. I personally think he is going to have even bigger season. I do think that he's going to be just an absolute monster, if I'm being honest. Last year he finished right around running back 6. He looked great. I know people were expecting something to happen, but I think he really exploded and really showed himself. This year he's kind of in the 10 to 13 range, so a little lower than what he finished last year. We have him right now at a 10, so we're expecting him in that RB1 tier range. Just almost fringe, but he's in there. Had a couple huge games last year. He had 30 point showing in week 3 versus San Francisco. I mean, 30 points from anyone is huge. Getting 30 points from your running back, I'll take it all the time. Now, he didn't even crack his triple-digit rushing yards in that game, and he was still able to get 30 points. Scored 2 touchdowns rushing and 1 receiving. So they were throwing him the ball regularly. So not only are you going to get those rushing yards from him, you're going to get those receiving points as well. And we take those. We take those all day. And then with Stafford's back injury maybe being serious, do they have faith in Jimmy G? I really don't know.
I don't know anyone that does.
Yeah, so what do you do from here then? You feed Williams. You give him the ball. I think he ends up getting a significant amount more touches than last year. I'm hoping the touchdowns show up, but I think at least the touches are happening even more so.
Yeah, I think that he is definitely one of the most steady and safe running backs that you can draft out there. And he's being drafted lower than what he's done the last 2 seasons. Like he's producing like somebody that should be on the 1-2 turn, and he's coming down at the end of the second round sometimes.
Right.
It's kind of cruel and unusual punishment for him, but it's also helps those of us that are smart in drafting. I wanted my first steady and safe wide receiver is going to be Brian Thomas Jr. Starting from, why is this not showing all the way? From week 11 on last year, he had at least 76 receiving yards in each game. He only had 1 game in that time with less than 10 targets.
Oh, wow.
He's an absolute beast. Yes, I know they drafted Travis Hunter, but so what? That just means that there's actually a viable receiving option beside Brian Thomas, making him a more dangerous target. He right now, his high position is 7. His low is 8. He's got a range of 1. These fantasy experts literally are all in lock sync. And I think he finishes top 5 again. I can see where they're saying 7, 8 because he's going to lose a little projection because of Hunter. But if, you get the Trevor Lawrence that everybody has dreamed up, now that they have a second functioning wide receiver, I think that could really work in their favor.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, adding Hunter only helps. Like, I could hear the people arguing saying, well, they're going to throw Hunter the ball more now, so it's going to take away from BTJ, sorry. But the thing is, who are you double teaming? Which one are you going to go after? You're going to double team one of them. Cool. Thomas gets double teamed. Now Hunter's open. Well, now they're throwing to Hunter. Now we got to double team Hunter. Boom. Someone's going to be open, and I think Thomas Jr. is going to be the one that gets the majority of it. He's already proven himself in a year.
Yeah, absolutely. So who's your second steady and safe running back?
Okay, so I'm considering this steady safe. I'm not sure if people are gonna agree with me on this one. I'm okay with it, but I'm going James Cook. I think James Cook is gonna be fine. Now, I'm not saying he's gonna be amazing, but I think you're going to get what you're expecting. He's sitting right at the 14 to 16 range. Consensus agrees that that's where he belongs, right about that. We kind of agree because we're at 15. We split it down the middle. So Fantasy Now thinks he's going to finish there. I agree. I think that he's going to do all right. He had 16 touchdowns last season. Not seeing that this year. Let's be realistic.
Well, and he had 2 receiving touchdowns, so he had a total of 18 touchdowns last year as well.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, absolutely. That 16, you're right. That 16 was just rushing. Now, I do think he is going to get more touches. I think the touches are going to happen. He had 207 last year. Now, let's keep him healthy. I think he gets at least 25 to 30 more. 11 games last year, he had under 15 attempts. And I think league average, right around 14.6, 15, call it 15, make it a nice number. But 11 games under that. 5 games alone, he had less than 10.
Yeah.
So that could be a problem. But again, he was still consistently getting his touches, his yards. And I think that number goes up this year. He might not see those touchdowns. It'll probably be closer to the 10 to 12 touchdown range, to be honest. But I think the yards are going to be there. He's going to get those attempts up this year. And I'm going with a safe bet on that one. If you can try to pick him up late in your draft and you're at the point where, hey, I just need to fill a spot, I really do think you're going to get what you expect out of him.
I think if you're taking him at 14 to 16, I think that's a very solid play right there. He's not going to end up being wide running back 8 like he was last year. Right. But the year before, he was running back 11, running back 12 with 12 less touchdowns. I think that he's a very serviceable and strong running back too. I like that. The one thing that I will say that kind of worries me is if you look at the latter half of the year, his snap percentage starting at week 11 on went under 50%, and he was over 50% every week besides week 2 between weeks 1 and 10. So just a little bit of hesitation, even though he was still he had in those lower snap count games, he still had 3 100-yard games and scored a total of, real quick math, 7 touchdowns within that time. 8, 9. So he had 9 touchdowns within that time. Yeah. So even if he's not getting those snaps, they're going to still use him in the red zone. He's going to be there, and they don't Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid are not as big of threats, especially Dalton Kincaid, as we thought it might be.
Right.
So mine might be a little controversial too, because I'm going with an old hoagie here, but consistent as they come in Mike Evans. He's got a small range of 5. He's between wide receiver 15 and 20 right now. His rank is wide receiver 17, and he consistently just pours out 1,000-yard seasons. And yes, they've lost Brian Cohen. He's not the offensive coordinator anymore. But you've seen, if once Chris Godwin gets healthy, we've seen that help. Jalen McMillan last year looked amazing. They drafted Ibuka. Bucky Irving is going to be just continue to be a beast. They have options all over the field. Also, Cade Otton was a top 10 tight end in fantasy points per game last year. Nobody talks about that, but he was number 10, which, you have a Baker Mayfield that was drafted number 1 for a reason, playing like it because he's got the supporting cast. And Mike Evans is the leader of that supporting cast, and yes, he's older. His career's going down. But are you going to tell me that you're going to turn away pretty much 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns versus what Marvin Harrison could do? Like if you're wanting to go for steady and safe, which is what this segment is, Mike Evans is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm right there with you. Like we saw last year that they were just making sure he was getting to 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do that again this year? Like keep the streak going.
Exactly. Future Hall of Famer Mike Evans, they're gonna do everything in their power to make sure that he gets that record and make sure nobody ever touches it ever again.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, and I do like that team, even though I don't know, it's kind of a funny crowd, but most of those guys, I mean, you can draft them and be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So who's your third running back? Who's safe?
All right. So I think this one's pretty safe. Now I didn't want to go with an obvious answer in running back 1 tier or anything like that. So I went a little lower than my last one, and I went with James Conner. He's right in the 15 to 19 range. We have him at 18, so we see him as on the lower end of that range.
He's like right in that Mike Evans range. I like
that.
That.
Yeah. So they're sitting nice together. Get them both. You're going to get your consistency. You'll be good.
Yes.
But the thing is with him, his first 10 weeks of the season last year was consistently hitting probably about 15 points per game. Then weeks 14 through 16, if I'm not mistaken, he hit about 28, 20, 24. He was getting points last year.
Yeah, 14 through 16, he was a beast.
Yeah, he absolutely went off. The thing is, I think this year is going to be different, is that's going to flip. I think what ends up happening is he's going to end up starting off super strong. He had about 236 attempts last year, probably going to finish with around the same-ish, maybe a little less. But I think towards the end of the year, Trey Benson might start getting more touches. But I think just if you want to go out of the chute and just start scoring points immediately, get yourself a James Conner. And I think your first 5-6 weeks, you're going to get more than expected.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking right now. He had the most rushing attempts in his career in a season last year. So he's played for what? 3,000 years now. And he's had 4 seasons over 200 attempts. He also had the second highest reception total of his career as well. Like, he is still getting opportunities. James Conner's come out and explicitly said he expects Benson to take more snaps. Like, the offense is built to do that. But that does not mean that James Conner is not going to continue to be your rock, your steady and safe running back too, that you can go and grab and not worry about what could happen with Chuba Hubbard or, Aaron Jones or Tony Pollard, who are all just right underneath that. I'm running with James Conner on that. I like it. My last one, I dove a little deep as well. I wanted to color outside the lines and give you some safety later in the draft, and that would be Josh Downs. of the Indianapolis Colts, in an area of rankings where pretty much once you hit 40, wide receiver 40 and below, all the rankings are pretty much double digits. Like the range is double digits. He's only got a range of 8, wide receiver 39 to 47. And he's been a fantasy sleeper for a lot of people, a fantasy darling that people have seen a lot of potential from, even with what was happening at the quarterback play last year. He is just the guy that they think is going to take over. Michael Pittman, there's something last year that he lost some spice. And you have Alec Pierce with this giant playability. Adonai Mitchell, who had the most air yards based off of like uncatchable receptions, I want to say it was. If you go, I found a video of him running routes, and you just watch him get wide open and get overthrown time after time. You have Josh Downs that's at the head of that right now. Like, they have some of these big-bodied, fast guys, and they want Josh Downs to be that number one. And, you know, that's around an area of Deebo Samuel. Is that somebody that you're going to be safe and steady with? Absolutely not. Darnell Mooney. Last year, he was great with Kirk. What about with Penix? How's this shoulder injury going to go? You know, Keon Coleman. You know, safe and steady. Steady and safe. Is that what this is called? Steady and safe. Yeah. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up Keon Coleman, and I think I have him in 3 leagues. Like, I was so sure that was going to be something.
Oh, me too. I have this really bad trend of, for the past, I want to say like 5-6 years, I get really attached to a rookie, and that rookie just crumbles. And I remember one of the first ones was Keyshawn Vaughn. And just everything just kept crumbling from there. So I love me some Trey Harris this year. So
let's go for it.
So that means that's the one guy you don't listen to me on. You know, that was up until Keenan Allen got signed. So
back home.
Yes. So our next segment is experts against experts. We've gone through this steady and safe. Who are guys that their general rankings, the consensus between the experts and the websites are like, yes, this is where they should be. We're each going to highlight 5 players in our positions, of expertise that the consensus disagrees on. We'll talk about one from each tier, meaning like wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. As you saw on the screen earlier, we're doing 12 players and then another tier. So I want to talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown. He does not sound like somebody that should be that controversial, but he is ranked between wide receiver 4 and wide receiver 9. Like, yes, how do you have Amon-Ra wide receiver 9? But some people do. His most common ranking is wide receiver 7, and he's been the wide receiver 3 the past 2 years. You know, that's just crazy. It's as consistent as they get. If he were to drop to wide receiver 9, he would have to lose over 50 points based off of last year's end of season finishes. He would have to drop 50 points. Like, he's barring injury, no matter what. Yes, the Lions, again, a great offense from last year, lost their offensive play caller to the Bears, and the Bears are going to make another good coach mediocre. But Amon-Ra is still going to be Amon-Ra. You know, and this is why you do this. Why in the world, you know, I'm going to just out it right now. CBS has Amon-Ra at 9, but Fantasy Now Plus and Rotoballer have him at 4. Like, if you are competing with people that use CBS or, they all stick to kind of one website. Oh, I love the fantasy footballers. Oh, I love Yahoo. Look at their rankings, because most of those people are going to go off and say, oh, I use this singular website. They're not going to spend time doing the spreadsheet stuff. Look at their ranking and go, okay, well, then we can come around and take Amon-Ra. If this league or, the people around me are looking at CBS, maybe I can hold out for Amon-Ra on the 1-2 turn rather than taking him 5th overall, Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, you're right. Amon-Ra is going to be Amon-Ra. Doesn't matter. Looks like we got
I just figured out a function.
That's awesome.
Yes. Go and talk about your wide receiver, your running back one, and then we'll bring up Colby's question.
Absolutely. So RB1's here. I went with someone I got in a new league this year, and that's Devon HN. Fantastic. The thing is that CBS has him ranked as number 2. Like you were saying, there are people that have him really high, just people really high. The range can be drastic, and CBS has him at 2, while everyone else has him somewhere between 2 and 7, really closer to the 7 range.
Mm-hmm.
We though there is as high as 7. Actually, I think 3 of them have him at 7.
Yes.
Which we have them at 4, which is a little more realistic in my book.
Yes.
I think he's gonna be fantastic again this year. There's really not too many running backs, ahead of him. I mean, you got your Gibbs, Barkley, Robinson, duh. After that, who are you absolutely going to put ahead of him? But they have him as low as 7. He had 907 rushing yards on 203 attempts last year. In only 3 weeks, there was only 3 weeks where he had more than 15 attempts. That's going up this year. There's no way he sees less or the same. That is going up. I don't know if this is going on a limb or not, but he's going to crack 1,000 rushing yards.
Oh,
I don't see him not hitting that. And they throw to him. Again, like you said with Connor, they throw to him. HM, they throw to him. He had nearly 600 receiving yards last year. And he gets his touchdowns on both receiving and rushing. He split it right down the middle. He had a total of 12, and 6 of them were rushing, 6 of them receiving. I was able to get him in Super League in round 2.
There we go. Yeah.
Plug.
Yes.
And I think it was like maybe 207 that I got him. And I'm taking that every single time.
Running with it.
Yeah, literally. But I don't know where 7 comes from with these guys. He's going to finish top 5 for sure. He might be pushing in close to 3. We'll see. That one might be a little bit pushing it, but we have him at 4, and I think that's just a fantastic spot for him.
Oh, I am team Achane this year all the way. His stats are comparable to Alvin Kamara. That's where his fantasy stats are. I just look at it and I just look at Kamara's and this is so understandable. Last year, the difference, I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but I know that the difference of Achane's receiving production when Tua was on the field versus when Tua was off the field was very drastic in a pro Tua way. If Tua's on the field, Achane as a receiver and a rusher produces better, especially as a receiver. He gets more opportunities, more yards. And if you look through his stats, he had 87 targets and he caught 78 of them. There are 2 games that he had only 2 less receptions than targets. Most of these games, he's 7 for 7, 8 for 8, 5 for 5. You throw to him, he's catching it. I love it. The ranking's controversial between, the two is a realistic possibility. It's not highly probable, but it's a realistic thing. and going down all the way to 9. That seems you saw what happened with Miami last year. It's not going to get much worse than that. And he still finished as right around running back 6 and half point PPR. Like if running back 6 is where he was when all hell broke loose, where's he going to be from there? Right? I love that. Colby asked us a question. I had the 10th and 11th pick in my draft today. Neighbors and Collins fell to me. Oh, that is a brilliant 1-2 turn right there. Then I traded Collins for Swift and Swift for Ibuka and Gibbs. Thoughts? I love that. I love that for a couple reasons. First off, if you got Collins at pick 11, Gibbs probably went in the top 3 picks, maybe top 4. So you've already leveled up your pick. A lot of people think that Nico Collins could do kind of what we're talking about with Devon Achane on the wide receiver end of things, where he could break into the top 2 of the position. And, there's reasons to believe that. I think right now when you're drafting, there's a large difference between DeAndre Swift and then Egbuka, especially in redraft. However, rookie wide receivers, as you saw at the beginning of the show, are highly undervalued in where people are ranking them. And then the second half of the season, rookie wide receivers change the game. I traded for Brian Thomas Jr. right before he started breaking out last year, won me a championship. Like Let's BTJ, go. You find these players like a Buka that you can go, okay, let's say he's my flex play. I can flex play him for a little bit. And then all of a sudden my flex play is now becoming a top 15 wide receiver the second half of the season. Run with that. I love that trade. I also love that you got rid of a Bears player. So, but what do you think?
Yeah. Excuse me. I really like it as well. And honestly, kind of for the same reasons you do. And for his sake, I'm glad he also got rid of Swift, to be honest, because when I was starting to read that message, as I saw, then I traded Nico Collins and DeAndre Swift, I read it as he traded for DeAndre Swift, and I was like, all right, terrible move. Because honestly, I don't know where Swift is going to be this year. I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden he gets traded. Johnson didn't like him the first time when he was with Detroit.
Oh, that's true.
Is he going to like him now that he's a Bear? Ooh. There's been rumors flying around most of the offseason saying, where is he going to go? I was actually going to bring this up earlier, but I couldn't remember where I read it. There was a rumor going around that, honestly, I think it was just a reporter trying to start it, but that the Bears and the Bills were talking a Swift Cooks trade.
Oh, because they could probably pay Cook the way that he wants to be paid.
Right. Will they? Who knows? I mean,
no.
They're very... Chicago is known all for any sport to not pay.
Yes.
But I like it. I think he comes out on top there. I think even if it was just Gibbs alone, he still wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's the fact that you could get Egbuka, he might start off quickly as well, because you don't know when Chris Godwin's going to come back and the quality of stuff. Chris Godwin was crushing it last year. Absolutely stealing the show, stealing the league last year. Mm-hmm. Got hurt. Is he going to be able to come back from that? Is he going to be able to, be Chris Godwin that we know and love? Egbuka could shine all the way through the season. I think that's very smart. Thank you for asking, Colby. And brilliant work on your part. Proud of you. My wide receiver 2 that I want to talk to you about in our experts versus experts portion is Chicago's Bears wide receiver 1, DJ Moore. He has a big range. He's in this exercise, he's wide receiver 20, and for Fantasy Now Plus, he's wide receiver 19, which puts him square in the middle of what we've got. His high ranking right now is wide receiver 13. His low is 25. That's a range of 12. That's literally, in middle wide receiver land right there, that's 20, 22 picks right there. That's almost, if you're playing in a 10-team league, that's 2 rounds. Do you want to come, if you're drafting 13, are you going to take Garrett Wilson or are you going to take DJ Moore at wide receiver 13? You're running with Garrett Wilson, but at wide receiver 25, me personally, I'm going Zay Flowers over DJ Moore. Zay Flowers is wide receiver 25 right here. But I kind of think that, have we seen DJ's Moore's peak? Like, I think he's an incredibly talented receiver. I've been wanting for him for a long time to have a very capable quarterback, watching him in Carolina, now in Chicago. Last year he had the most receptions he's ever had in a season and the second most targets he's ever had in his season in his career. He had the lowest yards per target of his career, and his yards per catch went down by 4.4 yards. Not just like a little bit. It went down 4.4 yards per catch. And he had the most receptions ever he's had in his career. Yes, there were things to figure out with Caleb Williams. Yes, they brought Ben Johnson in. Are those statistics more than likely going to improve? Yes, he's not 35 years old. He's also never been a big touchdown guy. He averages maybe 6. They've also had massive additions over the past 2 years of his career. When he was the only target in 2023, he was a wide receiver 6 overall. Last year, he didn't even eclipse 1,000 yards. The NFL.com has him at wide receiver 13. The rest of the websites have him at 19 or below. Is this somebody that, you're wanting to trust as your wide receiver 2 when you're getting to, when you're talking about Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, or are you even going to trust him over Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers? I think that the volatile rankings are volatile depending on what you think is going to happen with the Bears. I think this is a really good case of why do you look at multiple rankings? Because somebody could be super high, just like the NFL is. Somebody could be super low. Somebody like myself, I think that DJ Moore has hit his cap, and you kind of want to. He'll be safe, but the rankings don't have him steady and safe. Be somebody that gets production, but what that will be, who knows?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think the media plays a lot into what's going on with him as well. Chicago during offseason, the reporters get bored, and it's just constant. DJ Moore's traded. DJ Moore's done. DJ Moore gone. Like, they're ready to get rid of him. Mm-hmm. I'm not ready to get rid of him, but you're absolutely correct. He's past his peak. It's going to go down from here. Now, what does down mean? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure, but like you said, I don't know if I'm willing to take that risk to find out what that means. I'll let somebody else take him, and if I have to trade for him later, cool. If otherwise, whatever.
Hey, as Bears and Packers fans, we both agreed to kind of slow your roll on DJ Moore. Even compared to what the experts or consensus is saying, like, look at your other options, examine it. Mm-hmm. So good. I like who you've got in your running back 2 tier. This is a spicy guy, and I like it.
Yeah. So this one was a little hard for me as I chose him. My RB2 tier, I went Omarion Hampton. Mm-hmm. So he's ranked as high as 12 already. Consensus does have him as a top 20, unless you're us. We have him at 24.
That's crazy. What?
So overall, we have him at 24. So his mode is right around 14. Mm-hmm. He's got a range of 12, and we are the ones that have him at that bottom end of the range. We have him at 24. I can sort of understand it because rookie, right? You don't know what you're really going to get. You can take your guesses. Like you mentioned earlier, Marvin Harrison. He ended up finishing 32 after, being ranked in the 20s. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Hampton get about 220 attempts, maybe eclipse 1,000 yards. Probably not going to happen. It's be a little realistic, but it'd be cool. It'd be cool to see something like that coming out from a rookie. His competition is Najee Harris.
Yeah.
What Najee are we going to see? That's what I don't know. I did like him on the Steelers, don't get me wrong, but they were constantly just one guy's in, next guy's in, one guy's in, next guy's in. He's probably not going to see that split share like that as much. It'll probably be closer to Hampton getting more of the touches. How does Harris end up not looking as good if he sees too many touches, or if he sees not enough? Like, what happens? Does he get tired or not? So I am thinking at some point Hampton is going to take that spot, the starting spot, from him. Now, how soon? I don't know. I'm gonna guess towards the end of the year, and I think because it becomes end of the year, I don't think Hampton sees 200 touches. But I do think he still gets a fairly high amount. But I'm not sure. This is one that, while I was going through it, like, it was really hard for me. But this was a guy that I really wanted to just see what's going to happen, and kind of your thoughts too. I'm still on the side that he's going to get just under 200 attempts, but I'd love to see him eclipse that.
Wow, this is making me question my life. So I'm looking right now. I'm looking at the Fantasy Now Plus specific running back rankings. I'm like, what's going on? Because I have him as running back 14 right now. I am sky high on Hampton. I think that every year rookies are either too overhyped or they're not valued enough. And I think Amarian Hampton ends up as a upper running back 2. That's where I think he ends up points per game. I think that's where his value is. However, one of our colleagues has him ranked 50. So we've got 6 people ranking Hampton right now, just from our website. 14, 16, 19, 23, 30, and 50. And then for Najee Harris, there's 29, 28, 30, 34, 42, 51. Like, and I've got him at 51, and I'm staring at that. I'm like, oh, that might be too low. That might be, Najee Harris is very proven. It's making me question my own rankings. But, yeah, I'm high on Amarian Hampton. I've got him right where our mode does. I've got him where a lot of other websites do. But even within our own company, we have a range of 36. Somebody thinks that Najee's going to keep that starting job and Hampton's going to be the secondary back. That's a very plausible thing. I like that. I like that one. Also, Colby mentioned this as we were talking. So thank you very much. Appreciate the subscription. Make sure you check out fantasynowplus.com and all of the shows that we've got. Make sure you also check it out on podcasts and everything, because you can get those podcast formats here. So we've been on for just about 50 minutes here, and we've got a little bit more to go. So these next few players, we're going to do a little bit more rapid session. It's our first show, so we're figuring out timing things and everything. But we do want to get you the information. So wide receiver 3, the wide receiver 3 tier for me is Rashee Rice is a guy that I want to talk about. Rashee Rice, he's got a range of 22, the high of 20 and a low of 42. And how do you decide that? And I think we don't know. We don't know. Is he going to be suspended? Is he, what if he gets suspended partway through the year and he's out for 2 of the 3 games of the fantasy playoffs? Like, what if that happens? That's happened before. Didn't Kamara or somebody got suspended? Like, was it Zeke? I can't remember. A few years ago, somebody got suspended like halfway through the season because of something that happened off season. So Rashee Rice, depending on where you're looking, 42 from the fantasy footballers. NFL.com has them at 20, and Xavier Worthy on that other end. Fantasy footballers have him at 27. The NFL has him at 29, So who's going to run away with it? Rashee Rice kind of is the more talented wide receiver. We've seen it, but what's his viability?
Yeah. Absolutely. For my RB3 tier guy, I went with Jordan Mason. So I want to stick with the huge range thing we got going on here. This is huge. He's anywhere between 30 and 48.
Wow.
So we have him at 42. So closer to that 48, lower 48 that he's listed at right now. But last year he finished right around 36. So they have him close to what he was last year. But he went off in his first 4 weeks last year. Week 2, 19 touches was the least amount that he had to start the season. Like those first 4 weeks, they were just feeding him the ball. 19 touches was the least he pulled in those 4 weeks, with week 3 being the only week he didn't crack 100 rushing yards. It was just give him the ball, give him the ball, give him the ball. Issue that came up though, shoulder ankle injuries ruined his season. Mm-hmm. If you look at it, it's just roller coaster quick drop off.
Yeah.
He looked like he was going to be fantastic. He's not with San Francisco anymore. Now he's in Minnesota. What does that mean? Kind of handcuffed. I'm not sure. Between him and Aaron Jones, who's going to get majority of those? Is Aaron Jones going to be healthy enough to play? Worst case scenario, I think they just split it evenly.
Yeah. And I think, just real quick, looking at Jordan Mason's receiving work, when he was starting, he was legitimately a running back. He had 1 game of 3 targets. Everything else was 2 or 1 target. And Aaron Jones is that receiving back. You could see a split where Jordan Mason does more of the groundwork and Aaron Jones gets that edge in fantasy because of the receiving work. That's something that you have to look at if you're playing half-point PPR versus full-point PPR. Jordan Mason isn't a receiving running back, but he might not need it, So I like that. See, great work. My next wide receiver for my wide receiver 4 tier is Juwan Jennings. Yes, he's sidelined, ankle injury. Yes, we don't know what's happening with Brandon Ayuk. Yes, we don't know what's happening with Ricky Pearsall. Yes, he's up for a contract and he wants a big one. But I think at wide receiver 4 flex play, you could steal him. I think that, even like somebody's got him ranked 35. That's still right at that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 flex range right there. Am I going to take him above Chris Olave? No. Am I going to take him above Travis Hunter? Maybe, because of the doubts of how often is he going to play offense. But I think Juwan Jennings is a great dart throw. Make sure that when you're playing, though, that you don't go through and go, okay, I'm gonna play dart throw. Jameson Williams has a range of 26. I'm gonna dart throw him, and then dart throw Juwan Jennings, and then do a dart throw with Luther Burden. Like make sure that when you take a dart throw, you have the players around you on your team that you have the ability to do that. If you take your dart throws earlier, because you want to take them earlier. Make sure that you're playing a little safer with a Josh Downs who is in the same receiving category. If you're playing safe, take Downs over Jennings.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good segue into my RB4 actually, because it is kind of a dart throw, and it's really not a safe one, in my opinion. It's Jerome Ford. So his range is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to tell you where we have him, and I want you to take a guess at where the NFL has him. This is a huge difference. Just heads up. Okay. We have him at 40. Where do you think NFL has him listed?
NFL.com does kind of the wonkiest rankings. They give us good data, though, because people trust NFL.com with it. I'm going to go 55.
So they have him the lowest at 60.
Okay.
The highest is Fantasy Footballers at 33. So he has a range of 27 freaking spots. 27 spots. Now, he only had more than 10 rushing attempts twice last year. Under 600 yards, only 3 touchdowns. And his backups, rookies. Judkins, Sampson, both of them, 2-3 on the depth chart. That's not going to stay that way very long. I could see Ford taking a backseat to both of them very quickly.
Wow. Yeah, and so, if you've got, fantasy footballers are extremely popular and they do amazing stuff. That's why they're so popular, because they help people win leagues. They've got him at running back 33. They have him higher than, let's play some fun stuff, Travis Etienne. They have him higher than Zach Charbonnet. They have him one lower than Cam Scatabo, 2 lower than Javonte Williams. Like, I don't know if I'm even going to throw my hat in the ring with Jerome Ford there. That's where you go, okay, you're a fantasy footballer fan? Boom. You run with him as your running back 3. You run with him as your flex play. I will find somebody that's got bigger upside and take a dart throw that will actually matter. I like it. Okay, this last one, I'm just going to tell you because we're nearing the end here. Christian Kirk, just going to read you through his stats real quick on our sheet. Christian Kirk in a volatile, Texans wide receiver core. What's going to happen there? Highest rank is 51. His lowest rank is 72. That's a range of 21. That is the difference between, him, being your wide receiver 5 and wide receiver 7. That's huge. Do you think he runs with it? Who knows?
Yeah, that is huge. Got another big one for you. So Kareem Hunt.
Yes.
All over the place. He's at the very end of the RB5 tier. We have him at 59. NFL, 71. Fantasy footballers, 46. It is all over the place. Nobody has any idea what Kareem Hunt's going to do. His range is anywhere between 46 and 71. That's huge. Probably not even going to see 100 rushing attempts. I would say avoid at all costs. If you're absolutely desperate, sure. But, yeah.
See, and I'm going the opposite route. One of my biggest hot takes this season is Kareem Hunt outscores Isaiah Pacheco. So, getting him out picks running back 60? Absolutely. He's proven that he's had that upside before. He's also proven that he might not stay with the team. They might cut him.
Fair.
So, yeah.
Fair. And he is only 30. I mean,
yes,
he's already 30, but also only 30.
Correct. So, okay. Well, it is time for us to go. Thank you so much for watching with us. Thank you for listening with us. We will make sure that we continue to do this. Comment, subscribe, like, whatever you need to do. Draw us a picture, send it in the mail. We'll put it up on our fridges. So, yeah. Do you have anything, Michael?
No, I got nothing. This was great. out there listening. Hopefully you send us your picks that you think maybe we should look at and consider.
Ooh,
and then
yes.
we want to find something crazy out there as well that you guys are doing.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next week. Deuces.
See ya, guys.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.